Living and breathing La Vida Boa. Welcome to the Boa Life podcast. I'm your host, Steve DeMora, alongside host Nick Colhay. We're here to inspire, entertain, motivate, and have conversations to change our lives.
What's up, everybody? My name's Nick Colhay, your co-host, the Boa Life podcast, episode number 2. Today we have special guest, the one and only Dan Ohlson. You ready to do this, Steve?
Let's go! Thanks for coming. This is a special day for us. Special
Thanks for
night.
having me, guys.
Pleasure to have you. You are our first guest. It's like prom all over again, my friend.
Yeah.
Good memories, huh?
Yeah, no
So,
kidding.
I appreciate you coming here today and having a conversation with us. We're inspiring and helping people that are in our similar shoes to us, and what better way to have someone like you as a guest. Now, there's a connection here. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but you and my host, I think, may know each other somehow, right?
Yeah. We kind of know each other a little bit. We go through the same kind of daily stuff. Yeah. Dan and I are married to sisters, so
Yes.
so shout out Kelly and
Lori,
yep.
beautiful wife.
You guys are really living
And
the
you're a
bow
cousin.
life. I am.
We're adopted cousins.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
kind of.
Yeah.
You can say that. Yeah.
You're
sure.
definitely family now, and your Boa is now for sure, and we're trying to live the Boa life. Not entirely sure what that is yet, but we're trying to figure that out. And what better way to do it than to have people that are in our shoes, going through the daily struggles and trying to raise a family in today's crazy day, crazy times. So Dan, again, I want to thank you for being here with us today. I mean, we're all on this journey together, trying to figure out what the Boa life is, right? And I guess before we dive into it, let's hear a little, the audience would probably want to hear a little something about who you are and how you got here.
Yeah, good question. I'm psyched you guys are doing this. I can't
So are
wait.
we.
I can't wait to see like episode 75.
Well, I have a good feeling you're going to be in a lot of episodes.
I hope so. I can be your what is it when your substitute, right, or whatever.
Yeah.
If someone cancels, you just call me and I don't know. Hopefully
Last call. Dan's probably not doing anything. He's a boring guy.
Yeah, you know what? It got me out of tonight. I think my wife was giving the kids baths, so I was like,
Sweet.
yes, gotta go do a podcast.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. So I'll be telling her that a lot. I gotta go do a podcast. No, this is really cool. I was psyched you guys asked me, and so Dan Ohlson, and I guess I'll just give you guys a little bit of background so folks know how I got here. How did I get to this table? How about that? So I grew up in Maine, and I'll call it fake Maine because people think of Maine and they think of probably like dirt roads, no TVs, stuff like that. But it was the most southern town in Maine, a town called York, right in the water, right in the ocean. It's actually one thing I miss here, living in Connecticut. I miss seeing the water every day. That was really nice. So I grew up there, 3 little brothers, a dad very active in my life, a mom that was just, my gosh, a saint for dealing with all of us. And so spent the first 20 years or so of my life there. And then after that, after high school, I took 2 years off, played junior hockey for a little while. And then from there, I went to college, stumbled my way into tech sales. I was living in Massachusetts, then found myself in New Hampshire. Met, and I'm sure we'll get into it, how I met my wife, how I met Lori in this journey. And then that took us here to Connecticut. I never thought I'd be living in Connecticut, nor actually I haven't in the last year because of the pandemic, but I spent a lot of time in New York City. If you would ask me 6-7 years ago if I'd be working in New York City, I would have said you're crazy. But I'm there, and I actually love it when I'm there. It's just the commute sucks. But so anyways, yeah, met Lori. We moved in together in New Hampshire. And you know what she did? She told me if I moved to Connecticut, we would get a dog.
I remember that.
Do you remember that?
I remember you telling me.
Oh.
And I was psyched for you because then I would have a dog to play with.
Yeah.
Do you have a dog?
I do not have a dog. And it's been 5 years since I've been down here. 6 years or so. No, let me tell you the whole story because I think this is a good story. So, okay. So we were living in New Hampshire, and Lori and I came down for Thanksgiving. I think it was Thanksgiving. And it was, I think it was probably a massive feast in Thanksgiving. I mean, you guys know how it goes with the Portuguese Thanksgiving.
When is it not?
Exactly. So I think it was the day beforehand. We came down early because it's a 3 or 4 hour drive. And so we came down and we wake up that morning and Lori says, I think it was Friday because no one else was really at the house. I think everyone else was working. So Lori says, why don't we just drive around and see what houses are like here? Like if we were to move, where maybe we may want to live. Was it Brookfield? Is it Newtown, Danbury, whatever? So I'm like, oh, this is harmless. Let's go. And
that's Lori, next level. That's what that is.
And Lori's mom, our mother-in-law, comes too. Like, all right, this will be a fun afternoon. We got coffees. I think it was fall. And so we're driving around. I think we looked at like 12 houses. No one was with us, so we're just kind of driving. If we like them, we'll get out and kind of walk around the yard. So I think it was like 3 or 4 o'clock. There was one house left. And you look at the pictures, and you can tell like the house needs some serious work. And for whatever reason, we're like, all right, let's just go check it out. So we pull into the driveway, and the house needs so much work. I don't even get out of the car. Like, this is the ugliest house I've ever seen. It's got pink accents or whatever, pink and green accents, and so those colors go together. And I'm not even getting out of the car. And Lori gets out, runs around back, breaks open the back door, and so obviously this is a foreclosure, no one's living there. Walks in, and I didn't know this at the time. I'm still in the car. She's out back behind this house. She comes back around, like glowing, smiling, and she goes, "This is gonna be my house. This is gonna be our house."
Funny, I remember her saying that the door was just conveniently unlocked.
I'm sure. So I'm like, all right, fine. And it was cold out too. I'm like, all right, we'll go check it out. So I go around back, and our mother-in-law, Myra, goes around back. We walk in, and I'll give her that. You walk in, and it was definitely unique. You guys have both been to that old house.
Yeah.
Still need a lot of work. Okay, so long story short, it was a foreclosure. And so I said, okay, cool house. And she goes, well, let's make an offer. I'm like, all right, let's make an offer. It's a foreclosure. These things take forever anyways, especially if you make an offer on a foreclosure. I'm sure there's tons of paperwork and stuff to go through. So we make an offer. Within like a day, the freaking thing's accepted. And I'm like, oh my gosh, so this is getting real. Like, okay, it's accepted. It's still like, we still got some stuff to work through. I'm telling you, we own this foreclosure in like record time. So now we own this foreclosure. It needs a ton of work. We live 3 hours away. And I'm like, did I just move to Connecticut?
Yeah, just like that.
I just moved to Connecticut.
Like a magic trick.
So anyways, that happened. You guys know the rest of the story. So that was 5 years ago, and we're still here, and happy to be here with you guys.
So that must have not been easy, leaving family, leaving the area where you grew up, and just all of a sudden relocating to a new area.
Yeah, it was, because that doesn't bother me. Like, I could easily. If Lori and the kids obviously were to come with me, like, I would have no problem relocating into somewhere like where nobody knows me. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it has to do with, like, I have no problem being a loner. I enjoy working alone. Like, no problem with any of that stuff. After high school, I lived by myself. It was a couple hours away from home, like playing hockey. So like none of that stuff bothered me. What was really interesting though was it was really surreal, and I remember it. I can picture it. It was really weird to pack up everything I own into a U-Haul truck and then be driving that U-Haul truck from New Hampshire to Connecticut. And it was just weird to think about everything I own is literally in the back.
One spot.
Yeah, and like I'm taking everything I own, and so that was weird for me. And then, I think Lori and I were obviously married at the time, and so I think I've gotten to know you guys. We were all obviously pretty friendly at that point, but it's still 5 years later, and it's like I don't have a lot of friends down this way. Like, you guys are my friends. Like, I work a lot, have the kids, stuff like that, just like you guys. So like my friends are you guys, and we see each other quite a bit. See each other on the weekends. So yeah, I mean, I miss my family. Everyone else is still up in Maine, and yeah, it's I miss my parents, stuff like that. Thank goodness for things like FaceTime. You just
Right.
buzz them. They can see the kids and things like that. So, and it's 3 hours away.
It
That's
could-
not bad.
That's not bad at all. That's one of the
Yeah.
good things about technology.
Yeah.
It segues good into kind of one of the reasons Nick and I are doing this is, and we've had this conversation before and in prior conversations, that we're interested in making better lives for ourselves and our family, and dealing with all kinds of things that happen and all kinds of things that happen in our lives, and we're always searching for the answers to certain things. And I know we spend a lot of time on YouTube watching these super personalities and these super successful people, and it's like, where's the conversations with the ordinary guy or girl or people that are facing struggles, missing their family? And then this is the perfect opportunity to have these conversations, explore these things, and help each other figure out, the best way to live our lives. So I thank you for being a part of this.
It's more relatable.
Yeah.
Way more relatable for the common person.
Yeah, they watch this and they can probably relate to putting all their stuff. I could probably put all my stuff still in a truck, which is kind of sad because my house is filled with basically toys at this point. But yeah, it's something that we can watch and I think there's a real need for.
You know what else I like the fact you guys are doing this for is and on that same line, I actually have an outline of a book that I would love to write. That it really is. It's two things. One, it's a combination of like my journey and my playbook on how I got here today. And I don't have it all figured out.
Right.
I'm not a professional hockey player. I'm not an astronaut. I'm not all sorts of other things I wanted to be when I grew up. I'm selling technology. It's good, right? So we can talk more about that later. But not everybody is going to reach their dreams or whatever that might be. Not everybody is, going to get to that job. But so like you got to be okay not being okay. And I find like when you watch things like that, it's like, damn, those people have their stuff together and I don't. And it might be motivating or whatever, but I think what you guys are doing here is you're providing some of that framework for people, the common folk like us to borrow. And I've done it. I borrow stuff from you. I borrow stuff from you. I borrow stuff from everybody in the family. I bring it into my daily habits, my routines, my processes, how I do my business. Some stuff works, some stuff doesn't. I keep the stuff that works, I get rid of the stuff that doesn't. But I take all that from you guys.
Right.
And I think there's plenty, as you bring in guests, there's going to be so much good stuff that people are going to be able to steal from. And the second part of that is, so that is one, like the framework or the playbook that people, or the daily habits that people can take from. And the second thing is, hopefully all these videos and this technology is around in 30 years when your kids are older.
Yeah.
And they can watch
behind.
this. Exactly. So you want them, whether you're here or not, you want them to be able to see all those things that you believed in and you thought about, and I think that'd be cool for them to see.
Yeah, and you can do that by way of books or
Yeah, I'm
videos.
typically not a talker. I don't do much on social media. I would put myself into the introvert, working by myself bucket. So I think it's more, for me it's more fun to write, to just be by myself in front of a computer, writing or reading. But I wish I was more extroverted like you guys.
Yeah.
I don't even feel like I'm an extrovert at all. Deep down, I feel like I just took a lot of little chances, and it led to this opportunity right now. That's all it takes is little things every day, being consistent with it.
Right. And I think we all flourish in our own little environments, whatever that is, fitness or, in sales or counseling people or whatever it is. And we could explore so many of these avenues, but we've had these discussions where you segue from what your dream life is to reality, and then transitioning to what we're really talking about, which is the Boa Life. What is that? Living our best lives, which is a life of balance and responsibility and sacrifice and fun and doing for others and our family. And I know we all have our experiences, and we're always a reflection of the people we hang out with. And I want to bring people in that I admire, that I want to have conversations with. And I also want to have this group. I think you and I have talked about this Masterminds, right? Where you try to associate with a group of people with certain knowledges. This is for the masses, a mastermind for the masses, where we're going to meet with different people. I mean, I admire you. I don't, if you don't know that, you should know that I obviously admire Nick. I wouldn't be partnering in a podcast with him if I didn't. So it's like, I want to be around people that I admire, that fascinate me, and have discussions. And I hope I can reciprocate that and give them something. But we do that in our own relationships. Why can't we do that for, I think, a lot of people out there that really, I think, need it? Because you talked about technology being a great thing, and it is a great thing. But it also, in today's day and age, is like being distorted, right? Because people are putting a lot of stuff out there, which is great, but they're showing a side of them that is fantasy. And it's not, and we talked about this, like, you're not seeing anybody go to the bathroom. Like, my kids are constantly disturbing me in the bathroom. Like, they're seeing that. Today they saw me getting ready for a podcast. They were excited. They saw a clip from an old one. I'm like, oh, you're famous. So this is reality. This is something to be proud of. And this is something that I think is going to grow. And at the very least is going to be a great opportunity for friends and family to come together and discuss a wide variety of topics. But most importantly, I think it's going to do good for the world. So thank you for being a part of it. And I think you're going to be a real big part of this. And obviously, as our first guest, I mean, it didn't get any more important than that, in my opinion.
Well, so I appreciate that, and I feel the same way. You mentioned Masterminds. That is, there's a book, and I'm actually rereading this book right now. I love to read in the morning, and I love to talk morning routines. I know I've hit this guy up all the time about morning routines because I'm obsessed with like what you do when you wake up, and then just how you get your day started. So I'm rereading Think and Grow Rich. Great book.
Yep.
Recommend it to anybody. Easy read. But one of the key tenets in that book is masterminds. You know, who you surround yourself with, and we probably don't think about that enough. You know, and I think there's internal to, or you know, there's a local to that, and then there's, you know, those other folks that you may never be able to touch. And what I mean by that is, you know, who are you surrounding yourself locally. So for me, that would be you guys, some other folks in the family. And then, you know, those people I'll never touch. I'm also surrounding myself with, you know, Warren Buffett. You know, and these are all people I look up to, and it's a wide spectrum. You know, Tim Tebow, Tony Robbins, right, and David Goggins. We talk about David Goggins a lot. So how do you consume? You know, so consume lots of stuff from them, and you consume all the goodness locally, and you know, you start to take all, like I said earlier, you take all the best from these people. So this becomes like your mastermind group.
Right.
Like your board of directors,
right.
Silly as it sounds.
No, I think we're on the same page with that,
Yeah.
and it's like the timeline of life too is like when you're taking in and absorbing all these people, like you're taking in from the top of the food chain. It's like maybe we're in the mid. I don't know. Maybe we're in the low part of the food chain, but we could be that, you know, that variant in the timeline where people can see, oh, did you see these guys and all the stuff they did, and look at where they are now, you know? So, you know, we're hopefully in the middle of our journey. I hope we have a long place. I hope we're in the early part of our journey, because that means we got a long, long place to go. But we're doing it. We're here. We're going to stay consistent. And Nick, you know,
It's all about consistency,
right?
You just gotta do it.
Mr. Consistent just ran 48 miles.
That's what I'm saying.
What, 48 hours?
Yeah, actually it was 49 and a half miles.
Crazy. You know, I told Nick I wanted to do that with him, and I would have found a way, even if I had to walk, because you can easily walk 4 miles every 4 hours, no question. So I'm like, you know what, I'm going to do this. And it was really crappy. This was probably, what, like two months ago? Or a month and a half ago?
Beginning of March 5th, I think it started. So first
Yeah.
week of March.
And it was cool, because finally, like, I think I've always tried to stay in shape or whatever, but finally there was something that I could like work towards. And like he like gave me like a workout plan, because I didn't run that much. I played a lot of hockey growing up, and it was always, you know, sprinting, stuff like that. So he's been teaching me how to run. So he gave me this workout plan. And then about like a week after committing, I found out I had to get my freaking gallbladder removed.
Right.
And so that was pretty painful for probably 2.5 months. Was in pain beforehand. So I got the gallbladder out about 6 weeks ago now, and so I had to take it easy after. So, anyways, yeah.
Which was an experiment with intermittent fasting, and
so
it didn't end up working for you, right?
Yeah, I mean, so I didn't have to get it out because of intermittent fasting, but it does go back to, again, going back to just consuming as much as possible from all these people you respect on the outside. There's a really good book called, and he's been talking about Nick's been talking about intermittent fasting forever. And so I've dabbled with it, and then I read a lot about it in various books. A lot of successful people do it. And there's a good book called Tools of Titans, where you get to just see, it's like a couple pages from these really successful people. Some you heard of, some you haven't. And it seems like a lot of them do it. So I'm like, okay, screw it. It's good for all these people. I want to try it. Little did I know that that can be one of the worst things for people that have gallbladder issues.
Oh.
So I didn't know I had gallbladder issues at the time. So here I am doing intermittent fasting and then just perfect storm. And yeah, so and gallbladder, it was scary getting the gallbladder out. But,
well, do you feel like that could have been a blessing in disguise? Let's say you never committed to the race, and then all of a sudden that came on because of that, like the weird, strange way that the universe works. Like, do you think that would have happened to you? God forbid,
it's true. Maybe I would have twisted my ankle. Maybe I would have something cardiac related could have happened during the run. So there's things like negatively could have happened, or maybe it happened for a good reason, where it's marrying into the Boa Life. Nick and I can both admit that come Sundays, typically it's family dinner, and
you better be ready to eat.
Yeah.
See, the Boa Life's been bad for me, as you can see.
No, it's. I mean, I love those Sundays, but yeah, diet kind of takes a back seat, and so but so who knows? Maybe that kind of slapped me across the face, and it was time to clean things up. Just today for lunch, I had sardines in a can,
nice,
some rice, little broccoli.
How funny things work, because guess what I had? Probably like 5 slices of pizza.
Oh my gosh, yeah, but you can still go out and run like 12 miles, like nothing.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, be consistent, and Steve and I talked about this in episode 1, like 80% of the time. Yeah. Don't always try to be perfect, because then you're just going to set yourself back.
Sorry if I keep dropping book titles, but you guys both know I freaking love to read. So like you just remind me of things that I've read and I liked. And one thing you just reminded me of, kind of 2 things here. One is pursuing perfection can be really paralyzing. And I've done that a lot in the past and it comes from, for me, it came from setting daily goals. Whereas if you set a daily goal to do something every day and then you miss it, you kind of feel like shit.
Yeah.
Right.
And then you miss it, then you're like, okay, then I'll start tomorrow, then I'll start Monday. So actually to help me with that, because that's a great point, if you can just be consistent 80% of the time, I don't set any more daily goals, only weekly. Say, okay, because that gives you flexibility. So I say, okay, I want to accomplish this or that or run this in this week. And if you miss a day, who gives a crap? You can do it Tuesday, you can do it Wednesday. You get plenty of time to make it up and still accomplish your goal by the end of the week and not feel like crap if you missed it on Monday.
Yeah, and it's like just enough discipline. It gives you the perfect amount of time. But, God forbid you get to Saturday night and, midday Sunday, and you're like, crap, I got a lot of stuff to do.
That is true.
So it takes a lot of work. It takes work. And like you said, you experimented with daily goals. It didn't work.
Yeah, it does not.
So you pick something different. And that's what the Boa Life's all about. Keep striving, keep trying to do good things, and eventually find something that works.
Yeah, what was the old Hair Club for Men motto? I'm not only the president, I'm also a client. It's like we're all unique, obviously, and we all want to learn how to do things better, and we're all better at certain things. And it's funny you mentioned that, because I've always set out intermediary goals and long-term goals, and I shoot for the stars. And if I miss, big deal. Imagine where I go, I'm still going to the moon. Maybe not out in the outer space, but I'm still going far. And there's certain areas in your life where you try to set goals and you fail miserably, and you know how to do it and you still can't do it. And my weight, I've struggled with my weight my entire life, and I'm sure there's tons of reasons for it. Emotional, loss of my mother. I'm sure there's plenty of people who can put their finger on it. But at the end of the day, here I am as an older man with a family, and I still struggle with it, even though I have all the tools necessary. I can buy whatever I want food-wise. I'm not extremely wealthy, but I can buy healthy food, and I still struggle because We're not perfect. We're going to do better in certain areas than we're going to do in others. And that's why it helps having people that are in different facets of life, struggling with different things. Sometimes people struggling with things you don't even know they're struggling with. Sometimes they're obvious and sometimes they're not. But it's like listening to this, it draws inspiration. Like, I can do this, And I think I've failed miserably over and over again because I keep, Nick and I have talked about, I keep doing fad stuff, instead of lifestyle change, which to me, the 80-20 is a no-brainer. It's like the majority of the time, stick to it. And then every once in a while, you want to go have an ice cream, It's like I'm either on or off. And it's like, I think that's going to be successful because it has been successful. But then when I stop doing it, I gain all the weight back plus more. So it's we're here as much to learn as we are to teach and just to experience and hear different stories. And again, I can't thank you enough for being a part of this. And again, I mean, throughout this process, like there's moments of like, oh my God, there's moments of doubt. I'm sure Nick's feeling the same kind of a variance of feelings. But as I'm having this conversation, I'm like, this is it, man. This is what we wanted to do, I think.
Yeah, a lot to unpack there. So first off, I'll just share on goal setting, sticking to things. Two things that worked really well for me, and this is through discovery. It's not like I just discovered this day one. Because you think about, to me, when I think about goal setting, I think about including me, all those people that December 31st are saying, tomorrow's a new year. I'm going to do all this stuff. But what most people find, and what I found, because I was guilty of this, and I had to tweak some things, is they try and change too much too fast. So they say, okay, I want to eat healthier. I want to run. I want to go to bed at 8:30. I want to wake up at 4. I'm only going to drink water. And they do all of that on day one. It's too much. Your body can't handle that. And so people are impatient. I'm impatient. People are impatient, right? They want the quick fix. They want to accomplish those goals as fast as possible. But most people that, as you can see, gym memberships skyrocket in January, and then those people aren't there in February because of that. They try and change. So I have found for me that when there's something I want to accomplish, I pick a goal that's so ridiculously small, it's impossible not to take action. And I'll give you an example. It actually is running, and I talked about this with Nick. So probably 3 or 4 years ago, I probably couldn't run 10 minutes straight. I could play a full hockey game. It's just a different type of cardio. With running, you're nonstop. Hockey, you're sprinting. So I'm like, okay, I want to be able to run. I don't care how fast. I want to be able to run for 45 minutes straight. How do I learn how to do that? And so I was going to the gym, so I did it on a treadmill, and I say, okay, week 1, I am going to walk for 44 minutes. I'm going to run for 1 minute. Come on, run for 1 minute. You can do that, right?
Maybe.
So week 2, I'm going to I'm going to walk for 43 minutes, run for 2. Right, and then some weeks I wouldn't even move it, and then maybe week 3 I'm walking again for 43 minutes, walking for 43 minutes, running for 2, and in the smalls or the changes are so small your body doesn't even notice. But by the end of 3 months, you're running 45 minutes instead of going to the gym day 1 and trying to run 45 minutes. That'll never freaking happen. So that's one for me. It's always been about you want to be able to do 100 push-ups at once. Well, guess what? For a month straight, commit to doing 1 push-up a day. Sounds crazy, but I'm telling you, it works, and that builds momentum. It's the same thing with debt. When people say pay down debt, you don't start with the biggest one, you start with the smallest one because it creates momentum. And then 2 to all this, for me, what's really worked with the goals is, I forget where I heard this or read this, but they said, look, there can be a 500-pound man that sets a goal to run a marathon, and there can be a 100-pound man that sets a goal to run a marathon. So who's going to achieve the goal? And a lot of people just say the 100-pound man. No, I'm going to bet on the guy that has the best system, the best process to accomplish that goal. So once you write that goal down, once you know what it is, your next move, and if you don't do this, it's going to be really hard to accomplish, is what is your system, what is your process, what is your habit to accomplish that goal? And again, going back to what I was talking about earlier, it's you start with that 1 push-up. You start with walking 44 minutes and then running for 1. So I love this stuff. I write all this stuff down. I
No,
believe in it. It works. You write it down. You develop your system, and it's amazing. You know, if you I'm not a vision board guy. I like typing it, putting it, get it done for the year, and then checking stuff off. And it's amazing. You do this for 10 years, how much stuff you actually get to check off.
Yeah,
absolutely right.
You know.
I agree with that wholeheartedly, and it's amazing how I do that in so many other aspects of my life, and I'm like blocked from doing it in others. It's a strange phenomenon, but I think that setting goals is extremely important, and small tasks make momentous. Like I said, I wake up in the morning, I'm like, let me get the garbage out. Let me make my bed. It's like, wow, I've already done two things already today. It's like, no, who cares? But that's a big deal. It's like, and that grows and that compounds. And then at the end of the day, it's like my business, hopefully our podcast, same thing. You start small, you do little things right.
You guys are doing it now. You guys committed to, every week, certain time every week. You're here with a guest or not, and you're putting the content out. That's probably the hardest part.
Yeah, the content and putting that out. And you talk about vision boards. I'm not a vision board either, but I've always been, speak it into existence and see it. Mm-hmm. Even as an athlete, and from the looks of me, you probably can't tell it.
Well, we know you can.
But I was a decent athlete. I was a pretty good soccer player. I was blessed to be able to play Division I. And it was always a visual. I always saw myself doing something. Because if you can see it, you can believe it. I do believe that. And so I'm all about mindset and seeing it, and if you can see it, you can do it, and I think that can transcend any part of your life. It's just allowing yourself to believe in yourself, and I don't know why there's blocks or doubts in certain aspects. I mean, I do know why, right? There's certain areas in your life where you can't, because you can't be perfect at everything, right? Sometimes you can't even be good at everything. Never mind perfect, but. We're here slowly working towards that perfection, right? I think we're going to segue maybe into something a little different. We all have children, right? Mm-hmm. So we have that common. We have a lot of things in common, right? But what do you see as the biggest legacy you can leave your children one day?
Well, we should probably start with where we all stand with kids. So I know Dan and I each have two little ones. Steve has 3, but I think let's give the viewers and listeners an idea of like the age range, just so they know what we're currently going through.
Yeah, the madness that we're in the middle of, in the midst of. So I'm blessed to have 3 kids that haven't killed me yet. I don't know. That was like a Freudian slip there. I have 3 kids. My oldest son is Max. He's 8, and then my son Carter is 6 and my daughter's 5, Chloe. And I needless to say, it's a zoo in my house, and I'm grasping at straws and just surviving at this point when I'm at home. So as you said earlier in the podcast, like the fact that I'm here right now is a nice reprieve from that life, right? Because I love it to death. It's the greatest thing in the world. I mean, I can't ever have imagined loving something as much as I do my 3 children. And I love you too, honey. My wife, she's my end-all, be-all. I think sometimes she's a little jealous at how much I love these kids. But there are times, too, where you can they can really test you, too. So that's my spiel on that for now. I mean, we can unpack children for, 100,000 episodes over millennial. But
yeah, my house is just kind of not even close to that yet. She's a 9-year-old. I can't imagine. Only my oldest is Luke. He's going to be 3 in a couple of months, and he's just starting to kind of, have that little attitude that you always dream the little kid grows up not to start spewing out at you. So, and then little Mila is only 8 months now, so I'm not where you are yet, but I can see it probably happening. Yeah, it's a daily struggle, but I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Yeah, I agree. It's the best thing ever. I don't remember what life was like without him.
Yeah, it's hard too.
And I'm ready for a third. So, we always said we'd have 3. So we have 2. 4-year-old Nina, Nina Ray, and both girls their middle names are after their grandparents. So there's Ray on my wife's side, and then Scott, my dad, on the other. So we have Nina Ray, she's 4. And we have Nora Scott, who's 1. And I grew up the oldest of 4 boys, and it's been quite interesting.
I was going to say, yeah, man. How did
little
that
girls.
feel when, especially like knowing the second one was a girl, and never really growing up in a house with little girls running around?
I was psyched, and if the third one is a girl, I'd be okay. I really would. It's I don't know what it's like having a little boy. You guys both have little guys that I've been able to beat up. That's fun. Beat up, and not that you can do that with little girls, but yeah, I don't know. I just feel like the girls are we're pretty attached to each other. I could say I'm wrapped around their finger, but I've seen us all in action. We're all tough on them, right? Because they're polite and they listen and those types of things. And but yeah, what's funny is so growing up, my poor mom, myself and 3 little brothers, she always said, you all will have a ton of girls growing up. And I think their first 6 grandchildren were girls.
That's amazing.
Yeah, two with my little brother. Yeah, so two with the one right underneath me, 2 with the one underneath him, and then we obviously had 2 as well. So now the girls outnumber the boys.
Mom's always right.
I know. Yeah, but it's the best having little girls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're definitely raising boys and girls definitely can be a little different. So, but it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter if they're boys or girls. I don't even know how my heart's big enough to love my kids. I can imagine how you guys feel. But I think that with children comes a whole nother level of responsibility and a different mindset. I mean, it completely changed me. How did it? So I know that you probably had aspirations to become a hockey player, professional hockey player. I know my kids have dreams to be athletes, and I know I did. How did you, first of all, segue from maybe having that to then the reality of a normal life, and then what do you wish for your kids? You want them to dream that kind of dream, and how do you hedge that
My gosh.
with the possibility that life may bring them lemons?
Yeah, well, you know what? Life should, and I hope it does.
That conversation brought out the
So
Oh, you guys can continue. That's it.
No. But we'll take it. Let's. I want to talk about that because there's there's a lot to say there in terms of they're going to deal with hardships, and they should, and they need to learn stuff, and we can't save them. They got to figure some stuff out on their own. And I think it's good to think about the type of legacy you want to leave them. And I got some good. I think I have some things that I certainly want to share there. But quickly on this, I never had scotch before moving into the Boa Life. Before marrying,
Pretty much
marrying
same
a Boa.
thing here. I mean, maybe randomly it was the only thing at the bootlegger when I was a teenager, but mostly that was Bacardi Limon.
Oh well, I'm glad that the
I'm with you, Dan.
Portuguese have opened your
I love it. Now.
opened your eyes to the finer things in life.
So let's talk. So all right, let's hold off on the kid stuff because you guys asked some really good. So you guys sent me the questions, and I had to think about them because they're deep questions, and those are questions. The type of legacy you want to leave your kid. That's not something you want to wing. That's something you want to deeply think about.
Yep.
And you guys forced me to do that. So, oh my gosh, am I ready for this today? But let's talk about the Boa Life for a second and I'm interested to hear Nick's story a little bit too, because when I first met Lori, so I'd heard a little bit about her family from a friend that introduced us, and I understood, she was Portuguese and those things. And I have a really, it's a story that could make me seem incredibly shallow. That if you guys remind me, I'll tell it about how I manifested Lori coming into my life. So if you remind me, I'll tell it. But anyways, so I remember coming down to meet basically the family for the first time. I figured this is just good to talk about while I'm pouring the scotch here. So,
Salud.
Cheers, boys.
Cheers.
Very appropriate. I think we're gonna have to share some of this with the audience at some point. Did we break the third wall at this point or no?
Yeah, it's been broken.
That's so good. So I remember. So I remember coming down there, and Lori doesn't hear anymore, but I still hear accents in their family's voice when their family talks. I hear the accent, and Growing up blue collar in Maine, like I hadn't been to a lot of other countries. Like I didn't know what a Portuguese accent was versus Italian versus something else. And my wife is going to make fun of me for saying all this. But so anyways, the reason I say that is because we've all seen the movies with mafia and accents and things like that. And I'm sitting there at the dinner table, and I forget how long we've been dating, but I said, okay, these guys all have accents. They're from somewhere in Europe. They run a construction company. Like, if I screw this up, I'm gonna end up in I'm gonna be in someone's driveway. Like, I'm gone. You guys will never see me again. And then you look at the pictures in their house. You know what picture I'm talking about, where there's two cousins shaking hands on the stairs? And it's that's definitely out of a mafia book.
Yeah, it's Danny and Louie and Joseph.
Yeah, and you know there's some of their other cousins. You even think about meeting them for the first time, and there's this like big dumb hockey kid from Maine meeting these people, and So anyways, lots of new things: a double kiss, scotch, an absurd amount of food, and I mean the nicest family you could ever probably find end up marrying into, but at that time it was a little some things running through your head.
A little intimidating, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was very intimidating. Actually, it reminds me of one of the first times I had to meet the entire family, extended, and that was Dave's wedding, where Steve over here was the best man.
That's right.
And I had to take a long drive across the state and spend the entire day with the fam. And actually, Dave married someone that I went to high school with, so I knew a few people. So it was like meeting the family and then seeing people from high school that I knew. It was an interesting situation.
It can be a small world sometimes.
A very small world.
The interesting thing about the Portuguese, it's like the family's so big, right? Because the extended family is almost like a nucleus, like other families would have a smaller family. And then you got this weird thing with the Portuguese, like they don't even have to be family. It's just like if they grew up in the same neighborhood, somehow they're family.
Well, and that reminds me, that was hard for me too. And I wonder if Nick, kind of felt like this too, because growing up in Maine, I hardly ever saw my extended family. Like it was just myself, little brothers, my parents, and like that was our family. And every once in a while we'd take a road trip to see people, but that was like a big deal. And now with Lori's family, at first it was overwhelming, and I was just a little bit like what the heck is going on? Why do you people hang out so much?
Yeah, definitely had the same feeling.
Yeah, and at first I'm like, really? We're gonna see it again this weekend? But now, if like tomorrow's Friday, like, hey, we going over to your mom's on Sunday?
Yeah, we're gonna get fed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It presents a whole different bunch of opportunities, and then it can bring a whole different bunch of problems sometimes too, because you deal with a lot of different personalities and this and that. Especially every Portuguese extended family, it's like a lot of people to please. Because I have a wife that's I would say a gringo like you guys, right? So it's like, for her, it's like sometimes it's culture shock, because it's like, well, this is your family? It's like 75 people. This can't all be your family. It's impossible. I'm like, this is pretty much all my family.
The double kiss took a while, man. That was, I really thought.
Yeah, I felt bad for you because my brother-in-law, who I've known from a very young age, is Portuguese. So I was used to it.
The double kiss.
And not that I experienced it that much. I was just like, okay, this is what they do, and I got used to that.
You're lucky we're not French. It'd be 3.
One's not bad. It's like, okay, but like doing 2 is like there's some coordination there.
There is. It gets spooky because you can get real close to the lips on the turnaround.
And
we're some of those older aunts definitely caught it.
You haven't been to Portugal yet. You get a couple of the old ladies with the mustaches. You got to be real careful.
They go in for the kill.
You got to get the cheek-to-cheek expertise.
Nick and I, we did get to go to Portugal. And we went before any of us had kids. It was Nick and Kelly, Lori and I, Joe, their little brother, and his wife Allie, and Ray and Samira. And I'd never been to Portugal.
No, I'd never been across the pond.
It was incredible. We went to Ray's hometown, Samira's hometown, their place over there, and Lori and I went to Greece on our honeymoon. And you see the white buildings and the stairs. Like it's very much like you see in those pictures. But so did that for a honeymoon. But then going to Portugal a few years later, I would go to Portugal hands down over Greece.
Yeah.
With the food, the people, the weather. I mean, it was incredible.
That's the real Boa life. You see how people still live to this day. You're not seeing that in America.
No, it's a different mentality. It's a little more laid back. And I mean, I'm spoiled. I was able to go there a lot as a kid. And obviously, being Portuguese, I'm going to be like a home team guy, right? And obviously, it's a great place to be. But it's definitely a place where a lot of people around the world are liking to visit because it's got a lot to offer for a little small country, but a coastal country. But there, as you know, in the family experience, the food is to die for, right?
So
It's unbelievable.
good. Yeah.
And the people know how to have a good time,
Well,
with responsibility though. Right?
yeah. I always felt good over there, even if I ate a lot. I just felt like the food was so healthy. You could eat a lot.
Yeah.
It was an incredible trip. And you know what? Going back to our kids, I can't wait to bring. I mean, hard for them to remember now. They're so young, but I can't wait to bring the kiddos over there.
Yeah, it's good that you remind us of that, and to tie it into what you were saying with being introduced to such a large extended family, all like they were just one big family, not necessarily a cousin or an uncle or this or that. Over the years, it really it reminds me how important it is because now we see our young kids growing up. It's like, what do you want them to do? Sit home all day and only see random friends? Some of those people aren't friends for life, but family is for life. So, I say to myself every day, I'm so blessed that my kids can have cousins that are family. If I only have one son and one daughter, it's not that many people under one household. But if they have extended cousins and people they see all the time, I think that's the best thing for kids growing up.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about socialization. That's kind of one of the scarier parts where I wanted to jump into. I mean, we could spend, like I said, weeks talking about this, and I can't wait to have you back to unpack a lot of different things and even some of the questions that we've asked that we haven't really been able to delve too much into. But obviously, the elephant in the room, the pandemic, it's still kind of going on, right? Mm-hmm. We're in, for the sake of people being able to timestamp this, it's 2021 in April, and some kids weren't in school, going back to school. I mean, the blessing of having cousins and family, same as I did growing up, to socialize and for these kids to actually be able to talk to other kids when that was very hard to do in the past year. I think we'll be able to mitigate some of the damage of the last year. But us adults, we need it too. This is another thing, like having this is like therapeutic because it's like I go to work. I've been going to work since the pandemic, but it's not at all what it was like. And I think there's a lot of people struggling out there trying to have these kind of conversations, and they can have them by way of listening and again, relating to some of the things we're talking about. But
yeah, I've actually I've enjoyed the time I've been able to spend at home because before that, I would spend 2 or 3 days in the city, probably be on a plane once or twice a month. And when I go to the city, it's 2 hours in, 2 hours home. That's 4 hours of commuting plus the day there. So I may not see the kids when I wake up and leave, and then when I get home, maybe they're awake, maybe they're not. But now, I see them for a couple hours in the morning. My office is in the basement when I work from home, so I can bebop upstairs, see them during the day, and then get to be with them at night, which is just, and then not have that commute. That commute can be mentally and physically exhausting. So, I know it's not the same for everybody, but for me, I think everyone can at least, there's got to be a silver lining for folks. There has to be. And for me, it's just been able to spend a lot of time with them, obviously see my wife a lot more, sleeping in my bed every night. And my favorite thing of all, I haven't had to put a freaking button down on, or a suit, or a pair of stupid shoes in over a year, and it's been incredible.
I agree. I think that no matter what life throws at you, you have to try to find a silver lining, and in that respect, I think you're right. It for me and my family, it definitely slowed things down and allowed a lot more intimacy within the family, because I do come from a culture that's spread thin. So the one thing, like I said, there's pros and cons to everything. The one con of having a big family that you're always doing stuff with is sometimes you neglect your core group, right? Your wife and your kids, and doing stuff just with them. And I think it brought things down to the root, and you were able to spend a lot of time and reflect, and life slowed down a little. I think it's still slowed down. And I think it's still not to the speed it was at before. Maybe that's a good thing. But that's certainly conversations we're going to have too, and getting past some of the tragedies we've had in life, and talking about some of the things that has worked for us. I know, Dan, you and I talked the other day about potentially having talks with me, you, and Nick, where we read a book and then we discuss what we got out of it. I mean, that's the beauty of this form, right? There's so many things that we can do, and so many ways we can adapt. I mean, I think Dan and Nick and I in this, I think we're great in this. I think we're going to flourish in other facets too when we're bringing people out and doing things. So, I mean, it's just welcome to the wonderful ride that you're going to hopefully be a part of, because this is just the beginning, and we're not stopping. I know that we're not the type of people that will stop. So I can't wait. Like you said before, it's ironic that you said that, because we've been saying the same thing. I can't wait to look back at episode 1 and 2 when we're 2-3 years out and say, wow, look where we started, look where we are now. I'm sorry.
No, I agree with you. Right now it's this is what, number 2 or 3 for you coming in and recording. So this is those. It's no different than those people that have never stepped on a treadmill in their life, and this is their 3rd time in the gym. And think about it, that's where you typically see the fastest growth, is at the beginning, because you can make a lot of changes, and then once you get to a certain level, it gets harder because you're in shape, and then you plateau. So, I mean, I think you guys, this is you guys are already naturals, but I think you guys will have a lot of fun with this in the first few months.
Yeah, no, I think so too, and I think you're going to be along for the ride, my friend.
Well, whether it's books or legacies or work or, whatever, feel free to, call me in when, if someone can't make it or whatever.
We don't want you to think you're going to be second fiddle, because you're on top of our list, but you'll be our go-to for sure. It's funny, we talked about this the other day. It's like time flies like that. And I can't wait to reflect on. Maybe our next episode might be us reflecting on our first solo and our first guest experience, and how vastly different they were, and how time can fly when you're having great conversation. And then sometimes when you're struggling a little, how it can feel like you're stuck in a vacuum of time for hours. But
this has been pretty natural.
Yeah.
How long do you guys typically go for?
Last time we looked at like an hour-ish, right?
An hour.
Yeah.
And we got into a groove where we felt like we probably could have went long, but we're like, I would say though, there was like within that hour at like, I'm just throwing them at minute 10, I was like, oh geez, you get nervous, you lose your way, you feel like you're reaching, and then you get into a groove. It's like being an athlete, or on a run,
Exactly.
When you start off, you're like, and then, half a mile in, you're like, oh my God, I'm like running like.
They call that the highs and the lows.
Right?
Actually, yeah, I know.
And then your second win.
You're probably. Are we running out of time? Because I have a really quick story.
No, please.
So, all right. So, quick story on running. So again, Nick has been teaching me to run and just be more adventurous and get off the treadmill, get on the road, which I've done. And now he's pushing me to get off the road and get on the trails. You know where I'm going with this. So, all right, I'll get on the trails. So it started like a week or 2 after I had my gallbladder removed, and all right, I'll walk it. So he brings me to this trail. What's the name of the trail?
Yeah, I just texted Dan and I was like, look, I'm gonna be running here. It's a marked trail. Just walk it, and when you're done walking, just know you have to turn around and you got the same amount of time to go back.
Yeah. So no big deal. Yeah. So first time around, I'm like, great, I walked it, and I think it was like 3 miles or whatever. And then the second time around, I ran some of it. And I knew, so this trail, once you start, there's like a little loop that's 3 miles, and this thing brings you in the middle of the woods. Like, you're in the middle of the woods. It's fine, there's a trail, it's safe and all that stuff, but yeah, it's a little squirrely being out in the middle of the woods and just you running. But then there's this other trail that's actually like 5.5 miles. And if you miss the turn, you're on this other trail. And now I'm like 4 weeks out of having my gallbladder out, supposed to be really careful, like not lifting stuff, taking it easy. And I've gotten so much good stuff from Nick. So luckily, this thing actually probably saved my life. So I had this Garmin watch on, and it tracks like your sleep and your running and all that stuff. And it's really cool because you don't have to worry about it. You can just look at the app and see how you're doing. But
and you guys track each other's running too.
Yeah. I can never catch them. I look at it on Sundays when it resets, and it's like, okay, I had 80,000 steps for the week, and then this guy's got like 150,000 or something.
Well, what are you at right now? What's the day holding for you?
I didn't run today, so I'm at 6,500.
Okay. I'm
Yeah.
about to hit 16,000.
Hold on, let me look at my Apple Life. You guys, let's see what I got here. You're making me want to look here.
I'm probably the lowest. I was supposed to run today, didn't.
What's measuring your steps though? Your watch? You have a watch?
On my phone, I got 2,815 steps.
That can't be
Yeah,
right.
but your
Is
phone.
that a lot? That's not a lot. Is
That
it?
can't be right. You
I
probably
don't think a
walked more
phone is measuring like.
I got
like
1.2 miles.
than that. You walk more than that. You'll walk more than that tonight.
Oh man,
So-
maybe I know I have a weight problem.
So anyway, I'm back on this trail, and finally I'm running. Like I'm running, feeling good. I actually got like trail shoes, trucking along. And I'm like, I don't need water because like I can run 3 miles in under 45 minutes. Like it's fine. I don't need water. So I don't know. I start this thing at like 1 o'clock, and then so I'm running. But then I realize I look at my watch, and like 2 miles in, I realize that I've missed the turn for the 3-mile loop, and now I'm on this 5-mile loop. But I'm already so deep into this 5-mile loop that it's stupid to turn around. So I'm like, all right, I'll just stay on this 5-mile loop. So I'd never run this before, and so I knew he would. I didn't wait for him. I probably should have, but even if I waited for him, they run 3 times as fast as me, so it doesn't really matter. So I'm like, all right, I'll start ahead of them, and they'll catch me. And they did. They like right by me. but I'm glad they did.
Oh,
catch
I can't
me
wait to run
because-
with him then.
No, yeah, because when they did catch me, he probably didn't realize it, but I was actually looking at the map on my watch, being like, where the hell am I, and am I even on the right trail? So the story gets better. So anyways, they whiz by me and they're like, do you need water? I'm like, no, I'm good. Like, I'll be done. It's 5 miles, but whatever. I'll figure it out. So running this trail, and this trail is just kind of weird in some parts. Like there's turns, and the markings aren't that good, and it gets like really narrow. And you're like, is that the trail or is that the trail? And so I got lost 3 times, and then. Literally was walking in the middle of the woods, not on the trail. Literally in the middle of the woods. I went off the trail, was walking in the middle of the woods to try and find another trail, and I literally was lost in the middle of the woods for at least a half hour. And it was getting cold. I mean, that was fine, but it was like 3 o'clock, and like, you know where you were sweating, but then you're past sweating, and you need water, and it's starting to get cool out. Like your body starts to get cold.
Yeah.
Like that started happening. So I'm like, all right, this doesn't feel good. I need to get the hell out of here. So I had to keep looking at my watch, but missed 1 turn, had to go back. So that put an extra like half mile on this run. I'm not even running at this point. And then finally find the trail. Like eventually I just kind of find my way back, and then was on a trail. That's when I had to walk through the woods and go to the other trail, and then finally found my way back. When I looked at my watch, it was like 6 miles and something, like 2+ hours. And it was just totally freaking
Dan made a new
toast.
trail. You made a new trail for the hikers out there.
Gosh, yeah.
You're lucky we didn't find him on the news. Man missing in the woods.
Yeah. But
Well,
you know
actually,
what?
that's
We're calling
funny
all-
because
That is funny.
within
You said that.
days, I see an article in the paper where people on kayaks had to be rescued, and I'm like, Dan, did you see this? And it was literally the day we were there, around the same time. Kayakers had to be rescued.
Oh
I
my
think he was
God.
saying that he remembers people, passing by on kayaks.
Yeah, wild. Well, I'm sure you guys are gonna, looking, closing it down. So you asked a question about legacy and children and things like that. And you know what? I bet my answer changes as they get older. I bet my answer to what I want the legacy or my legacy to be for my children, if whatever it is today, will probably be different when my oldest is 16. And it'll be different when she gets married, and it'll be different. Yeah, but I wrote down some things, but I think there's one thing that's never changed for me. Once I gotta figure out if you just Google it, you'll find the quote. But it's been like this mantra for me, and it should be a mantra for them. It should be a mantra for everybody. It might have been Jim Rohn who said this, where it was, he said, you should always work harder on yourself than you do your job. Because if you work hard on yourself, right, you naturally get better in all sorts of multiple facets, and then you actually get better at your job. It's pretty incredible, but you got to put yourself first. And that means like when you show up every day to work, whatever job, or whatever, maybe you're not working, whatever it is you're doing, when you wake up in the morning, you just got to find a way to better yourself, to be better than yesterday. And if you can make, like I was talking about earlier, those small little tweaks, right? Those small little goals, if you can do just a little bit of that every single day, you'll get better. Yeah. And whatever job you're doing, whatever you're responsible for, will get easier and easier and easier.
Yeah, Steve and I definitely touched on this heavily last week, and the word that comes to mind is being selfish, because it has such a negative tone to it. But if you're not being selfish and working on yourselves, like, how are you going to be with your family? Right. You know, how are you going to be to your wife? How are you going to be to your kids? How are you going to be to your coworkers? How are you going to be to your friends?
So you're spot on and remembering that from last time. Being selfish is sometimes being selfless, and it goes back to anybody can relate to this. As a matter of an example is you get on the plane, and what do they say? If you're on a plane with children, make sure you put your own mask on first before you put your kid's mask on. And why? Because if you don't put your mask on, then you can't help your kids. Exactly. Right? So if you're not being healthy, if I'm not here tomorrow because I have a heart attack, I can't do anything for my kids. So I completely right.
Warren Buffett nailed this. He said, okay, well, what if he's got so many good quotes. I mean, everyone knows him as an investor, but you start to look at him and his posse of investors, and not just forget the investment part. Charlie Munger is incredible.
Nice to watch together, that's for sure.
Yeah, the videos they have is, they get good stuff on investing, but just their philosophy on life. And by the way, because I love reading about this stuff, a lot of these successful investors, they don't do it to make money. They do it because they enjoy it, and it's a game, and it's fun, and it's a puzzle they're trying to figure out. So they have so many just good lessons so you can learn. But one thing Buffett said is, you imagine that you are 16 years old and you were given a car, and you will have that car for the rest of your life. Would you change the oil every 3,000 miles? Would you wash it once a week, if not more than that? Would you change the tires exactly when you should change them, or maybe before they need to be changed? Like, if this is the only car you're going to have, like, think about how you would treat that car. Right. That is the same exact way you should treat your body.
And we don't treat our bodies that way. We try to see how much we can get out of them most of the time.
Yeah. So people argue that too. You know, you should live life to its fullest. So yeah, I agree with that. But frankly, I want to live as long as possible, to spend as much time as possible with my family and the other people I like to be around.
I mean, with David Goggins, sometimes you do that by pushing your body to its limits. It's like, and these are the things we're going to be exploring, right? Mm-hmm. The different philosophies in life and what works, and intermittent fasting and how it can have negative consequences, where for other people it has a positive consequence. But I mean, self-improvement, investment. I mean, we're just touching the surface of all these things. And I really can't wait to further develop some of these themes with you in the future and do a lot of things together. I think that it's probably an appropriate time now to say this was a great night, a night amongst friends, enjoying each other's company and conversation. And I can't wait to the next episode with you for sure.
Well said, Steve.
Good job, guys.
Thanks for coming, Dan.